Arms deal of the 1990s has been covered up, according to civil society organizations. Told you a little earlier today, they are in court at the moment to have the controversial Seriti Commission's findings reviewed and then set aside. You'll remember the Commission concluded there was no evidence of corruption in the multi-billion-dollar arms deal. Live to the North Gauteng High Court, I hope we've re-established contact with my colleague Moloko Moloto. You were going to tell us very briefly, Moloko, good afternoon to you, how we found ourselves in this position in the first place.
Well, Jeremy, you would remember that actually former President Jacob Zuma was forced to appoint the Seriti Commission by a pending constitutional case. Now, after he had appointed it, we saw controversy dogging that particular commission. Even before it began its work, we saw one of the three judges, Francis Lerodi, resigning just days before the commission could start its work. And also, we saw the resignation of a senior researcher in the name of Norman Moabi, who actually said that the commission had a second agenda. Another researcher also resigned, saying that there was hostility to those who were not towing the line towards that particular second agenda. Now, after the commission did its work for about 3 years or so, there were accusations against it that actually it was ignoring some of the evidence presented to it, but also the commission was accused of not investigating allegations that were arising because some of its mandate was to ensure that it must investigate whether the whole deal was dogged by corruption and if there was any wrongdoing. So as a result, the Corruption Watch and the Right to Know campaign decided to take this matter to court. So judgment has been reserved. They appeared before a full bench that was the Judge President of Gauteng, Dunstan Lambo, as well as the Judge President of Northwest, Judge Monica Leu, as well as Judge Dennis Davis. So they said they will advise all the parties involved as to when they will release their judgment.
Now, Moloko Moloto, the President, who is, I understand, cited as a respondent, is not opposing the application. Is that correct?
Indeed, the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, is not opposing this. As I said, the commission was appointed by former President Jacob Zuma, his predecessor. And this perhaps could be saying that the current president perhaps does agree with some of the accusations that are leveled against the commission. And in fact, if what his counsel, Advocate Nazir Kasim, was saying before the court is anything to go by, we can essentially conclude that the president is also unhappy with the findings of the commission, because Advocate Nazir Kasim for the president was even saying that if the commission had done its work diligently, it would have certainly made a finding against the corruption. And also Advocate Kasim saying that it was wrong essentially for the commission not to investigate the likes of Advocate Fana Kromwani, as well as Chippy Sheikh, the brother of fraud convict Shabir Sheikh. Remember, Chippy Sheikh was a senior official in the Department of Defense at the time. So the tone itself says a lot that perhaps the president agrees with those who want to overturn this.
Just a quick answer to this one, please. What then is the end game as far as Corruption Watch and Right to Know is concerned?
Well, we spoke to an attorney for Corruption Watch, that is Deborah Mutemwa Tumbo, who said that their aim is really not to have another commission investigating the whole thing, because you would remember that the commission, Seriti Commission, cost taxpayers 137 million rand. Now, all she was saying was that they just want the court to set aside these findings. But let's listen to her.
We've always maintained that the findings of the Commission of Inquiry are not binding. However, they were used to exonerate various individuals. It's already been rightly pointed out that nothing stopped the criminal justice system from moving forward. However, the findings were used to stop the justice system from moving forward. Now we are of the view that should the court set the findings aside, that justice system can go full force to ensure that it investigates all persons implicated in the alleged corruption in the arms deal.